right. Y'all ready? All right, appreciate y'all being here. Good Tuesday practice. Excited about the week. Really challenging opponent. South Alabama's been to as many straight bowl games as we have, so it's a really quality, I think, matchup. Good, well-coached team, talented team. Know a lot of the players. Obviously South and Tulane played in 2023 opening game. Our staff, a lot of us coached against them in 22 and 23. A lot of familiarity, a lot of respect for Major Applewhite and their staff. Know their staff really well. It'll be a really challenging game on the road, and our guys got to be ready to travel well and be prepared. We got to win on Tuesday before we worry about winning on Saturday. Same thing tomorrow. Got to win on Wednesday before we worry about winning on Saturday. But I think it's a really exciting matchup, a great regional game, and a really good opponent. These guys got a lot of good players. So with that, we'll open it up. Yeah.
Knowing that Northwestern's defensive ends were kind of the challenging part to get through at first, what's the challenge with South Alabama's defense?
Well, Northwestern's number 4 and number 91 were both really good football players. Going into that game, I knew Ford was a great athlete. Still believe that. Has twitch and explosion and all that. 91, man, he's the kind of guy I'd love to have on my team. I just like the way he played. He's just got some grit and some toughness and some edge. So that's who they were. This group's very athletic. We're getting ready to play. I think the speed of this team we're getting ready to play kind of sticks out. Maybe up front, but also on all 3 levels of their defense. They've got good athletes. They look fast. They look twitchy. They play hard. They're well coached. They got some good length. I think the really athletic group. That's probably the thing that sticks out about this team we're going to play.
Omari Hayes was your one receiver who had serious big-time production in college football going into this year. Did that maybe show up a little bit in the opener? Because obviously
he had 9 catches. I don't know if I would have guessed he would have had 9 going in. I knew he'd have probably 4 or 5. We'd like to spread the wealth a little bit more than we did. I think Omari is a seasoned veteran player. He catches the ball really naturally. He's sort of a combination of Mario and Keith from last year. He's not Mario. He's not Keith. He's kind of somewhere in the middle of those guys. He's a good screen runner, a good sweep runner. He's a good vertical route runner. He's good with short area quickness. I think he'll improve in the punt return aspect. I didn't think he was maybe at his best. I don't know that we helped him enough there. But really glad he's with us, and so think highly of what he can achieve this year. I think we're going to see other guys step up at receiver. I think I was watching practice today. I'm like, man, this receiver group is just deep. We got a lot of guys that go out there and play. We just need some other guys to step up and make some big plays. They will. And a couple of guys did. C.J. Lewis's 4th down play the other day. That's a big catch for a youngster.
And the 6 drops, some of them weren't on perfect passes, but how much of a concern was that? And sometimes there's just a 1-week blip when you're starting off.
Yeah, that was probably my least my least. The thing I liked the least about the game was us just throwing and catching the ball. And I addressed the receivers and the running backs about, hey, you got to catch the ball. I addressed Jake about, hey, we're not just back there throwing the football. We have to actually pass it with the intent for it to be a catchable ball. And so, a couple of them were hot. Maybe should have still been caught. There was one out of the empty where ABS, the umpire's kind of in the way, so that was a little bit of a hurdle too. But if the ball hits you in the hands, we got to catch a daggone football. And so I think the one I was most disappointed in from a drop standpoint was Bryce Bohannon's, because he is such a good football player. He's worked so hard, and I wanted that touchdown for him, and that was uncharacteristic of who he's been the entire time I've been around him. And I was like, if you said put one guy in that position to catch the ball, it's going to be a touchdown, I'd have said Bryce Bohannon. So to play at a really high level, to win games that we have in front of us, we're going to have to make those routine throws and catches.
Defensively, about as dominant as you can get. What stood out to you the most when rewatching the film about the defense, and how promising was that performance for the rest of the season?
Yeah, I thought, just if you look at that one game, I thought the defensive front really controlled the line of scrimmage. I think that was, on that side of the ball, my biggest concern going in was their size on the offensive line. was significant compared to us. And I felt like we controlled the line of scrimmage with our front. In the run game, we were able to maybe keep them off schedule and get them in, longer down in distance. And then once we got to pass situations, man, that front four group, we didn't have to send a ton of pressures. And we were able to get really good rush with four guys. And so I think it started with the front. I know everybody else talk about the interceptions, and those were awesome. But a lot of times the front, go back to play one of the game, the opening play of the game, that kind of sets the tone. Like if you're playing quarterback and you get hit from your blind side on a pass rush, first play of the game, and it's a sack forced fumble, you're automatically going, oh gosh, what am I in for today? And so I think that set the tone. And, when your pass rush is on, it makes pass coverage a whole lot easier. It helps your secondary and your second level guys. But I think our front really, on the defensive side of the ball, dictated a lot of the game.
I know you touched on it a little bit on Saturday, but with Brendan Sullivan getting healthier, how do you see him maybe getting some snaps at quarterback? Do you see that happening? You kind of mentioned maybe using both of them in scenarios.
Yeah, I think we'll see. He practiced today, looked the best he's looked. We'll go again tomorrow. Like we sit down on Thursday. This doesn't help you, but Thursdays when we sit down as a staff and go, all right, what's the plan to play? Like, what do we rotationally? I think we're going to have a shot to see him play Saturday. He's moving around really good. If he had to, he probably could have on Saturday. But I just wasn't comfortable with maybe forcing him out there prematurely before him being able to be strong and confident in what he was doing. But he looked really good today. I think he's trending in the right direction. And if he's available, I think you'll see them both play. I really do. I think he adds a different dimension to the offense. I think both of those guys are good players. They respect each other, our team. Everybody in the locker room respects both of them. Like I said on Saturday, I love our quarterback room. I think we've got, I think we can win games with four guys right now. Like, and that's not just coaches speak. Like, if Caden Samanza goes in the game, we can win a game. If Donovan Leary goes in the game, we can win the game. I do in my mind right now feel like we have two starters. I think it's an extreme luxury to have because we only had one, and that was Brendan, who might have been like in the lead some parts of training camp. Well, if he goes down, you don't have another guy that's a starting level guy right now. It's nice to have both of them. But I think Brendan will be close. I think we'll have a shot at getting him some time Saturday, and we'll see what that looks like.
When you looked at the film of Retzlaff, what maybe stood out? Was there anything that surprised you in a good way with him? And how do you expect for him to just build on it as he continues to get comfortable?
Yeah, the things that stood out, I thought he operated the line of scrimmage pretty well and communicated clearly. I thought he made pretty good decisions on where he was going with the football. Like, it wasn't our misses in the throw game weren't bad decisions in regards to where we were going with the football. It's just let's throw the ball and catch the ball clean. I thought obviously he ran the ball well when he tucked it and went. I mean, a 69-yard touchdown, and the other one right before the half that could have gotten interesting. They were playing two-man, and if that one safety doesn't make the play, it's probably another touchdown. Like, it was. So I think it's clear that he can make plays with his feet. He showed a competitiveness. He showed a little bit like the first play of the game. We screwed up the handoff exchange. That was on Jake, but you saw him come out the back door and go run and try to get a yard or two and take a shot and get up, and I think he just got a little something about him. A little grit, a little toughness. That's what I like about both the quarterbacks. I mean, both those guys, I think, if they got into a fight, they're going to fight. They're not going to stand there and take it. They're going to fight.
When you were at Troy, South Alabama obviously was your big rival. How much respect maybe did you gain for that program, even through the rivalry? And then, in Major, what's the biggest thing that you have to watch for year to year when going against a major coach team?
So the respect for South Alabama for me doesn't go back to just when I was a head coach at Troy. In 2017 at Troy, we go to LSU and beat LSU. And then the next week we get our ass kicked by South Alabama. All right, so they got my full attention and full respect. I told our team, you get every 7 days to get promoted or exposed. And we beat a pretty good LSU team and went the next week and got just humiliated. And I thought, man, it was a very frustrating night. And you hate those. Like, I'll remember that as long as I remember some of the wins, and so and then we played them as a head coach at Troy. We played them every year. And 22, we played them in a rock fight. It was 10-6. And then the last year I was at Troy, it was 27-10, I believe. But I think the thing Major does is, in his offensive staff, he's got Paul Petrino's running the offense for him, and Paul does a great job. Man, schematically, they put you in a lot of stressful situations structurally within your defense. They do a ton of gap scheme runs. The throw game stuff, they're good with some RPO stuff. They're good with some play-action shots. The thing that I always remember and reflect on is double moves. We've worked more double moves this week. We'll work more hitch and go this week than we'll work all year probably, because I felt like in 22 I was like every drive I felt like we got one, even though it probably wasn't quite that much. It just felt like a lot of double moves. So he's very creative offensively, a lot of respect for how they plan their game offensively. And then defensively, I know they're doing scoring well. Will Wyndham has been there on that staff for a while. He was a linebackers coach previously. He does a great job with their defense.
I know Kentrell Bullock, their running back, went off last week, and he's a guy that came from Ole Miss. What maybe impressed you when you turn the film on, and what's the biggest thing that you have to watch for?
Well, I know Kentrell well. When he left Ole Miss, I tried to get him to come to Troy. Another one of I tell you all the time about my failed recruiting attempts. We didn't get Preston Stone. I didn't get Kentrell Bullock. I suck at recruiting. But this kid is fast, and he's physical. I mean, he's a 4.40 guy. He is an SEC back. I remember when he was leaving Ole Miss, Derek Nix, who at the time was the running back coach maybe, or receiver coach. Can't remember if he'd moved to receivers by that point or not at Ole Miss. Derek's now at Auburn. And Derek and I are friends. I called Derek and I said, tell me about this Kentrell Bullock kid. And he said, John, he's an NFL talent. Like, he's a real NFL player. And D. Nix has coached a lot of NFL backs. So he's a really good football player. He's a physical, fast runner. And, you got to bring it on contact with him. We're going to have to gang tackle. We're going to have to get 11 hats to football. You can't just think one guy's going to get him down. The way his play style is very impressive.
I was actually going to ask you about your familiarity with South Al too, but what I wanted to ask you Saturday, of course, the team debuted the patches for Greg Lin, and for between football and all the other athletic programs. Just what is it to honor his name?
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to Greg's mom on Saturday. Anytime you lose a family member, when we're athletics department here, we're all family, and my heart breaks for his family, for our basketball program, for everybody on our campus that had connection to him. I would take my kids to basketball games, some here this past year, and his presence, his demeanor, his energy. My kids, my kids, as soon as the news came out, they knew exactly who it was. They're like, he had an aura about him that was positive. So to be able to, just represent one of our own who's no longer with us, and his family and that team, we're going to do that all year, and that's something that our athletic director has decided, David Harris, that we're going to all wear the patches, and I think it's a great tribute to Greg, and our heart breaks for them, and we will definitely remember him forever, and his legacy will live on. I think she was appreciative. I don't know. I didn't ask her. I think we had a great exchange. I had a good time talking to her. It was easy to see how Greg was the way he was talking to his mama. Like, his mom was like, I'm like, man, this lady just lost her son, and her positive energy sort of bled through to me. I'm like, golly, her perspective on things was very impressive. So she probably had a bigger impact on me than I did on her. I think her response and her positive energy sort of was like inspiring to me to some degree. Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.